In this video, we're going to look at working with the RealTracks picker and the RealTracks settings. Now, when we want to replace a track with a RealTrack, we can get to the menu a couple of different ways. We can right-click on the radio button here, for example, this piano track, and I can have Band in the Box present me with a choice of all the best RealTracks, or I can limit to a subset of chording tracks or soloist tracks, but we can also make the distinction within the All Tracks dialog box. So I can click that there, and we get the box. I'm just going to cancel it for a moment to show you that we can also get to it by right-clicking on the name over there and get to the Select Best RealTracks. And again, we have a choice of all chording or soloists. So once we're there, we can filter. For example, I'll write bass here since I clicked on the bass one, and we have all the bass ones. And they organize them from the best choices, meaning the closest to style and tempo. And then here, swing, feel, swing, even but the feel doesn't match. And then here, genre doesn't match. So it goes down in descending quality of choices from the top. And here we can limit the results here based on if we want to hear only background chording ones or melodic or soloist versions. So we can filter it there or just call up the filter settings directly from the right-click menu. And of course, we can press these buttons as well to return the defaults. So you can choose one from here and just click OK and Generate Now, and you're fine. You're good to go. Now we can also assign RealTracks using the RealTracks picker, and we can get to it from here. We can go RealTracks picker dialog, and it opens up this window. But a nice little shortcut to get to is to just shift-click on there, and that'll bring it up like that. And we can also get to it by right-clicking on these names and choosing Add Remove RealTracks, and that'll open up the same RealTracks picker, and we can get to it yet one more way by right-clicking on these names over here and go Add Remove RealTracks. So always to get to the RealTracks picker. So like the style picker, it's got a similar type of interface, but let's go through the main settings here. First, let's go through the column types. GM refers to general MIDI. The type refers to whether it's a soloist, rhythm, or chording type track. We have the feel, the EV or swing like we've seen before, the tempo that it was created in, the genre, and the number is a unique identifier for each RealTrack. NA will indicate RealTracks that you haven't yet purchased or don't have installed, and the column's empty on mine. I have them all installed. The set shows the number of the RealTracks set that includes this instrument. And the NT column has to do with notation. If there's an N in the column, like over here, it means that there's a jazz piano real chart, meaning even though this is audio, we're going to still get notation for it, which is really cool if you want to study some of the solos and things. There's some great notation that you can learn from. And if it's GT, then that means that the notation also displays a guitar fretboard, great for guitarists. We have artist's info here, so this shows the artist that created the RealTrack, and in the artist bio up here we have some information, and then memo on the actual track itself. And we can also sort by any of these columns, so if I sort from there, we're going to now get all the Oliver Gannon ones first, since that's what I pressed to sort by, and we can sort by, let's say, type. So we get all soloist, and we can go ascending or descending. We can sort by feel, tempo, genre. So in other words, any of these categories. Now, T, H, S, and D are also useful. T indicates that the RealTracks are tempo swappable, meaning that they'll work at other tempos. So for example, if I scroll down here, we'll see that some of them have a T in that column, meaning they'll work well at other tempos. Now the H column indicates if holds and shots and pushes are available in the RealTrack. S indicates if the RealTracks come with a simple style variation. You remember we spoke of that in one of the earlier videos, how the styles can be simplified. So that's under the S column. And D indicates tracks with a clean signal with direct input, and they have a Y in them for yes. They're like there. And they refer mostly to guitar tracks. Now we can hear an audio demo by clicking this, and we have a choice of hearing a solo version or the band version. So we can hear them either alone or in context, and we can double click, and if we double click we can have either the band or solo version start based on if that's enabled or not. Now the rest of these are fairly self-explanatory. I'll just go through them quickly. We decide which track we're going to be adding to. We have the information over here. We have the song demo we can get to from here and the style demo. We can play them normal time, half time, double time, or triple time. And when we use play and stop, it's really useful. Like in the style picker, we'll hear it applied to the current song rather than just the demo song over here. We can show RealTracks that are not available, meaning if they're not installed on your system. With this disabled, it's only going to show the ones you have. Show RealTracks variations, show if tempo is out of range, fairly self-explanatory, and we can filter here. So I can type in, let's say, bass, and I'll go update, and then we'll see only bass RealTracks, and we can go show all, of course. And we can rebuild when we've made changes to the database. Just press that to rebuild. Generate track will generate as expected, and it's fairly self-explanatory. Now I'm going to click cancel for the moment, and I want to look at RealTracks settings, and we can get to it by control-clicking on the RealTracks button. That opens it up, but we can also get to it just by clicking on the little drop-down menu and go to RealTracks Preferences. So enable RealTracks, obviously it'll enable or disable them globally. Show real chart notation for RealTracks in styles, and show real chart notation for soloists, and this all works great. But one thing I want to mention, RealTracks are green, not yellow, and when there's a real chart, there'll be a short underline under the name. None are loaded in right now, but there'll be a short underline, and there's a long underline when there's a real chart and a guitar fretboard chart as well. And there's some options for how to save them over here. We can have a global volume offset for the RealTracks so that they match the MIDI tracks better. Allow crescendoing, and it's fairly self-explanatory. There'll be crescendos when soloing here. Speed up generation of RealTracks. This is kind of like when you're using a computer that's really well powered and you have a strong CPU, it'll start them quicker, and when that's off, it'll take more time to calculate the RealTrack before it starts. We can have band in the box auto substitute based on tempo for us. High quality tempo, pitch stretching. Again, you can toggle it on or off. And we can use the 4-bar endings. We looked at that in the song settings for RealTracks. We can add reverb tails by percentage. We can allow RealTracks shots, holds, and pushes, so we can enable or disable them if you don't want them. We have the jazz up version, so on jazz tracks, it'll add sevenths to triads. We can auto-replace MIDI styles with RealTracks when songs are loading. We can do that automatically. We saw that setting in one of the radio buttons here as well. And we can reduce the volume of RealTracks to match MIDI. And this is really nice. We can add accents to the pushes and shots by offsetting the velocity, so we can make them a bit higher or a bit softer if you want them quieter. So a nice way of controlling those independently. And finally, we can set a custom folder for the RealTracks. We just enable that and then use the picker over here to select the location. We can update the database with the update button, and we can also get to the RealTracks picker straight from here. And erase unneeded files is great if you're installing on top of older band in a box installs. It'll get rid of any redundant files. See you for more in the next video.